Sometimes courtrooms witness such scenes that remain unforgettable for a lifetime. One such day unfolded in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom. A woman entered and immediately, in a harsh tone, declared that she would never pay her fine. The judge calmly tried to explain that he could arrange an installment plan to make it easier for her, but the woman remained stubborn and insisted she would never pay. The world knew Judge Caprio for his smile, kindness, and gentle nature, but for the first time, he failed to control his anger. This incident was never reported on TV or in newspapers, but later he mentioned it in his book, calling it a turning point in his life and decisions. It's hard to imagine that a boy who once polished shoes on the streets alongside his schooling would one day become famous as the most compassionate judge in the world. Viewers of his court sessions always wondered how he could speak to every defendant in such a humorous and friendly way, and why he so often forgave their fines. In his courtroom, children were sometimes invited to deliver verdicts. At times, he encouraged defendants personally, and sometimes even embraced them to share their pain. Once, an elderly man appeared before him, accused of speeding in a school zone. When the judge asked him why, the old man's eyes filled with tears. He explained that he was rushing his sick son, who had cancer, to the hospital. Without hesitation, Judge Caprio dismissed the case. Such actions earned him admiration not only across America but also worldwide, and many judges came to regard Frank Caprio as a role model. But behind his compassion and humanity lay a hidden story rooted in his family's past. After retiring in 2023, he was diagnosed with cancer. During that time, he began writing his book Compassion in the Court, which was published in 2025. In it, he shared many life events that shaped his character. One such story involved his grandparents. When they migrated from Italy to America, poverty made life extremely difficult. One day, the police arrested his grandfather. His grandmother borrowed money from neighbors and went to court. Speaking broken English, she tried to offer some money to free her husband. With her was their young son, whom everyone called Tip. The judge called Tip forward and said, "Take your parents home, they are free." Though the event happened long ago, it transformed the family's outlook. That boy Tip grew up to be Frank Caprio's father. Life was so harsh that he lived with 12 people crammed into a single room without even hot water. Poverty forced him to leave school after 7th grade and work to support his family. He sold fruit, worked odd jobs, and eventually became a milk deliveryman. Young Frank often helped him, delivering milk to houses early in the morning. One childhood memory always stayed with Frank. One day, while delivering milk to a wealthy household, he saw his classmate crying at the breakfast table. Frank thought he might be invited inside to eat, but instead, the boy's father scolded him and pointed at Frank, saying, "Be grateful you're not like that boy carrying milk in the freezing cold." Those words pierced little Frank's heart, and years later, he recalled them in his book. On cold winter nights, he had no blanket. Instead, the cloth used to cover the milk bottles served as his only cover, often chewed at by rats. Despite such hardship, one day his father placed a hand on his shoulder and told him, "One day you will become a lawyer. But remember, never charge the poor." This advice became Frank's lifelong principle. Time passed. Frank pursued his education, working small jobs to cover expenses. When he entered college, it was a moment of pride for the whole family. Later, he studied law, though poverty meant he had to teach during the day and attend classes at night. Once, a friend gave him a ride home and, upon seeing his shabby house, remarked, "If you want success, you can't live in places like this." That comment, too, left a lasting mark on Frank's heart. After finishing his studies, he began practicing law and eventually entered politics. He once ran for attorney general, but his opponents spread false accusations and blocked his path. Returning to law, his life changed when one day the city mayor called him, saying a seat had opened in municipal court, and he believed Frank was perfect for the position. It became the happiest moment for Frank and his parents. On his very first day as a judge, his father Tip was present in court. The first case involved a woman overwhelmed with parking fines. She spoke harshly, saying she would not pay because of her children and expenses. Frank offered her installments, but she refused. Finally, he ordered her car booted. After court ended, his father scolded him, "Did you not think how she will carry her children or her groceries now?" That lesson stayed with Frank forever. From that day onward, he decided that before giving any verdict, he would always consider its impact on the defendant's family. This principle became his identity. Later, he established a fund in his mother's name to help those unable to pay fines. His brother began recording his court sessions, giving birth to the program Caught in Providence. At first aired only on local TV, it eventually became a global phenomenon. After serving 38 years as a judge, Frank retired in January 2023. Soon after, he received the news of his cancer. On August 20, 2025, from his hospital bed, he asked his followers for prayers. The very next day, August 21st, he passed away. His memories and judgments live on, teaching the world that justice is not merely the letter of the law, but another name for humanity and compassion.